Hi, Mati. Thank you for joining you. My name is Mati. I'm editor with Forbes. I write about tech and AI. I think actually everyone in the room has already heard a lot about Mati and ElevenLabs. Just wondering if we could maybe go back. So tell me about sort of the origins of ElevenLabs. So I think you've teamed up with one of your best friends from high school to solve a problem which is maybe quite unique to Poland. Tell me about how bad dubbing inspired one of the hottest startups in Europe.
Ian, thank you, and thanks so much for everyone for being here. First of all, it's a bit surreal to be on the stage, which is turning around, so hopefully I'll get to see all of you. But I'm in a very lucky position where we started ElevenLabs with my best friend, a person that I've known for 15 years. We met in high school, took all the same classes together, and for the years got to travel, to study, to work together. And time is on our side. We are still best friends, which is, of course, a lot harder when you are doing company together. But Piotr is incredible, and so happy to be able to work with him. But we both come from Poland, and that's part of where the inspiration for ElevenLabs came from. It's a very peculiar thing that when you watch a movie in Polish, a foreign movie in Polish, for all the voices, whether that's a male voice or a female voice, you get it narrated with one single narrator. So it's like a poor version of dubbing where you have no intonation, no emotions. And it's crazy, we grew up with this, but it's still something that happens today for majority of the content. And so it's definitely, as you can imagine, a pretty terrible experience. And something that, knowing what's possible across voice space, Piotr was at Google, I was at Palantir, we had a number of Hack Weekend projects together and realized that where the technology is going will allow us to potentially change this. And in the future, you will have all incredible information accessible across all voices and across all languages.
Amazing. You founded the company less than 3 years ago. Give us a snapshot of where you are now as a company.
So we started in 2022. First year was all research and product. And fast forward to today, we are building the leading AI voice technology company. We're creating a comprehensive audio offering across 2 key platforms, a creative platform for narrations, for voiceovers, for dubs, for music, and then an agentic platform which helps people create voice agents across call centers, customer support, personal agents, education. We recently did a tender offer at 6.6 billion valuation and crossed 200 million in revenue with the hope of getting to 300 million by end of the year, where we'll continually scale the team to surface all incredible partners and users.
How big is the team now?
So we are 330 people. We are trying to keep it close in touch with the revenue and keeping it really efficient, and while we scale, keep the small teams in place. And that's one of the key things that we adopted across the company, where even though it's 330 people, it still is effectively 30 teams of 5-10 people executing and independently going after the market, which is a setup that really allows us to bring a lot of our own research, but also external research to work and adopt that into the space. So the micro teams approach across the company is something that really helps drive it. But the team scaling was pretty quick. So we were just around 100 at the beginning of the year. So 3x since then, and probably will be around 400 by the end of the year.
Maybe just dive a little bit deeper into the culture you've built at ElevenLabs. I think one thing you're quite famous for is there's no job titles there. What does that mean? How does that help you grow?
We really want to get people to feel like they can own any set of problems from day zero. They can come to ElevenLabs, the title, the hierarchy matters less than the impact you can create for the company. And we want to incentivize people to jump into the problems and feel like if they think they know the best solution, they should speak their mind and really try to bring it in. So we dropped the titles pretty soon after scaling beyond the first 50 people. And it's really helped us where the people really both joining but also existing know that the main thing that matters is impact. We are still young as a company. We have the small teams. We really try to approach and move extremely quickly. And it also helps us attract the talent that is more optimized for creating that impact rather than trying to chase that title at another company. It might not remain forever, but today it's something that works great.
That's great to hear. I think many people in the audience will have heard ElevenLabs' voice. They may not have known that, but that's quite likely to be on social media or through some entertainment. channel. But I'm just curious, how have you gone from sort of working with creators and sort of prosumer users to scaling that to working with entertainment giants like Epic and also companies in the S&P 500?
Yeah, so we started, like I said, a lot on the creator space with people creating with the research, social media, narrations, voiceovers. And to this day, we have a huge component of creators and developers building with the technology, which is the main reason where if you're creating research, you want people to adopt it quickly. You want the people to show it to the world, and something that the creators and developers are usually extremely quick with. But as we scaled, and we scaled very quickly, so in the first year of the company, we realized that the technology is so powerful in the enterprise setting. One of the biggest use cases that appeared over the last few years and became possible is voice agents or conversational agents, where you can effectively automate or improve the interaction through use of voice. So one of our partners was here in Italy, so I hope people will realize or recognize Immobiliare. Immobiliare is one of the big real estate marketplaces where you can purchase a property from a seller. But there was a supply and demand mismatch where the buyers want to call the seller, but they frequently cannot get them on the phone. They have a busy schedule, busy day. And on the opposite side, the sellers couldn't get the right buyers to call them, as you would have received too many calls, many of them would be disqualified. So now we've introduced with Immobiliare a voice agent, where you call a voice agent as a buyer, you get information about the property, about the listing, and can then pass that information to the seller, and the seller will qualify that quicker. And that increased from 19% of people going through to the next step to now 63% of people matching and getting to the right property a lot quicker. And we're seeing that across everything. You mentioned Epic Games, which is another great example, which wasn't possible 2 years ago, where they've deployed in Fortnite one of their biggest deployments of AI ever, where every player could speak and have a companion as a Darth Vader, working through the gaming experience, where millions of players could interact in the real time. So from gaming through to real estate, all the way to call center with Deutsche Telekom, we're seeing just a new adoption of technology, where the main things that changed is the voice quality in that interaction is now good enough where it feels human. You can respond in a quick way and with the right emotions and the right language. The second thing is that you can actually bring all of the integrations and functions in place. So you can connect it to your existing systems, whether that's Salesforce, whether it's Google Drive, and bring that information to the voice agent to perform better. And then the last piece is deployment, and that's the most hard thing in the enterprise setting, where while you can create a voice agent, it's actually very hard to bring it to production with the right tests, version controlling, monitoring in place. So as ElevenLabs over the last 2 years, we are building effectively a platform, an agents platform that allows you to build that voice agent and deploy that in a much smoother way.
So at the moment, most of the way we interact with technology, whether that's through our phones or laptops or work, or even with kind of AI giants like OpenAI, is mainly through text. Do you think the future's voice, and that this will be the main channel or the primary channel?
I'm a bit self-serving here, but yes, I think the voice is going to be one of the biggest interfaces. And there's like a few different directions where why I think it's relevant. The first one is that you can transfer so much more through voice than through text. You have the emotions, you have the intonation, you have the imperfections, you have the context of the emotions coming across in many different ways, which is impossible with text. You don't have that information embedded in the same level. So that's one of the key elements. Second, to be able to input text, you need a screen, you need some version of a keyboard or input. With voice, you don't need a screen. So I'm excited about moving from screen-first world to voice-first world, where we can be embedded in the conversations with one another, with the screens moving to the back pocket. And then the third one, which is maybe slightly further out, but beyond voice being your assistant through your daily life, there's another part where in the future it will unlock breaking down that language barrier, where you'll be able to travel to another place and be able to communicate with others in real time with your own language. But all three are already progressing. maybe a good example on that personal assistant that can assist you through the daily life. We recently worked and announced our partnership with the Ministry of Digital Transformation in Ukraine, where they are rolling out services as part of their DIA app, where everybody will be able to get governmental services through voice, ask about the civil appointments, being able to renew documents, be able to ask for help, which for government in the current situation is incredible in how advanced and how much pushing they are. And on top of that, they released, the minister, Mikhail Fedorov, released his own digital twin, so people can interact with Minister Fedorov and ask him about the work of Ukraine, which has been incredible to see.
Given how powerful your technology is, what's there to stop somebody in the room from taking a recording of this session and creating a digital twin of you or me and using this for nefarious purposes?
So there are two parts to this question. I think first, this is the big question as we think about the technology as a whole. There will be increasing amount of deepfakes, misinformation that we need to get ready for. As ElevenLabs, we build the safeguards in place as we release the technology. We take it as our responsibility. So all the content can be traced back. For creating a digital twin of someone, you need to go through a verification flow. So you actually need to record yourself, and that's compared to the samples you use. And then on top of that, as you actually release that work, we check what's actually being generated to make sure we catch any bad actors. But then if you extrapolate that into the wider set, of course, open source is progressing. Other commercial models might be released without those safeguards. There's a big question of how will the proof of identity work in the future? And maybe going a step further, I think everybody here will have their own personal agent executing tasks on our behalf, booking a restaurant, calling for an appointment, helping us get information. And all of that ideally comes with an authorized information that this is a voice agent that belongs to me and is actually something that I want to do. We spoke about digital twin, Minister Fedorov. You want to know that this is something that has been authorized from the ministry itself. And here, I think the true solution in the long-term place, there will be a three-step mechanism. The first one will actually be identifying for the real thing. So we'll encode our devices with the information that I'm calling as Mati, and if you're responding, you know when it's decoded that Mati is calling from his device. Then there's a second level, which is that AI-generated level with watermarking embedded in. So when I'm creating an asset, I can embed as part of the content itself information that this is AI-generated. And by default, everything else will be a fake, which is a big shift from where we are today, where you assume everything is real until proven that it's fake. I think that flip will happen over the next few years.
Interesting. You've kind of kept pace or have moved ahead of some of the biggest AI labs in the world, both in terms of research and also in execution. But how do you stay in this race as a relatively small European startup against companies that are raising tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars of capital to throw at this problem?
The speed is the momentum, as Brian likes to say, and I highly agree. But I think the truth comes to three parts. The first one, my co-founder is the smartest person I know. He has been able to assemble the mighty research team that has been able to outcompete the big labs time and time again with text-to-speech when we started the company, then speech-to-text, beating on benchmarks, whether it's OpenAI or Google, once again, and recently the music model. So that research core really depends on the best talent, the missionaries that are obsessed about the space and can create the breakthroughs that aren't possible otherwise. The second one is you need to move extremely quickly, building the product layer on top of that research. Research over long term will commoditize, so you need to be able to cater whether that's on the creative side, what's the flow for creating an audiobook, whether that's on the agentic side, what does it take to deploy voice agent to production? There's just so many more steps. So we've been very quick in deploying that layer since the beginning with the small team approach to get that to the users and really focus on the problem that we want to solve. So we go very deep with the customer, work backwards from there of how to make the interface easy for those customers to use the technology for the benefit. And the third one, we started in Europe, but we already are building a global company, and from the beginning, we are approaching a lot of our work as a global scale. We want to be competing with the companies in US, in Asia, in Europe, and get ahead of many of them today and in the future.
You faced a major challenge in the first year of the company where a partner you're working with took the API and essentially built the product you had pinned the future of the company on. Can you maybe talk me through that and just sort of how you bounced back from that? And also, what did you learn from that?
There was, so effectively what happened, we as a company, we took a bet that we'll be very open in terms of our APIs from day zero, which meant that everybody can build with that technology. When we started the company, of course, one of the big aspirations at the time was creating the dubbing flow. And one of the companies, which we didn't realize, decided to take those APIs and release the product just a few weeks before we released the product. Internally, low moment, something that everybody was speaking for last 2 years before that, prior to that. And of course, that was an unfortunate way, feeling like someone is taking what you wanted to create for a long time and you knew you had all the pieces in place to be able to do it, and releases that first. And there are, I think, two key lessons from that for us. The first one is, if you are creating an open API ecosystem, you need to be ready for that happens. There's so many benefits on the other side. You learn from your users, you learn from the world of what's possible, and you can build with that. At the same time, somebody can build the things that you imagined quicker than you. So credit to them, and while we initially were adapting our strategy, we decided that this is the best way. We think there's just so many things that you cannot predict that you can learn from people building with the API, so we'll continue that. So that was the first piece, that there are trade-offs. We are happy to take the trade-offs, and the partner, that company is our great partner today. The second one, which is I think the real reason why we haven't released it earlier, is that you don't know where the quality bar is for something to be great, in this case, to have a human quality dub. And you can only judge it by bringing that to the users and showing to the users the actual output of the work and letting them assess whether they like it. So the speed of iteration from then to now has increased, where we release our research and product work quicker so we can work with the customers to understand, is it good enough, and then whether we can scale it further.
So you're building it in public?
Building in public.
Interesting. Obviously, you're a European company, European founders, but your ambitions are much bigger than that.
We would love to create a generational company. I think we have all the pieces. We have an incredible team, incredible investors, from 16Z, Sequoia to Iconic, not Friedman, and all the way through to this is once in a lifetime change, where AI is potentially a bigger shift than the internet. We can be the voice of that change. We can create the voice of the technology. So all the team is heads down on making sure we can make it happen and hopefully bring it public one day.
Amazing. The future will be listing to be a public company?
Future will be voice, and hopefully we can be a big part of that.
Well, thank you very much, Mati. I think we're a round of applause for the co-founder of ElevenLabs.
Thank you. Thank you.